Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today I'm going to be doing a Enhancement Shaman small guide for you here, guys. A quick little guide to get you guys rolling. You guys asked me what talents I was using, what rotation I was running, and how I'd go about my burst, and I'll give you guys the little macros for it. We'll make it quick here. I don't really want to go too far in depth because I feel like there's other people out there that make videos that could probably give better advice on Enhancement Shaman since I don't main one, obviously. But let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. Now, before you do anything, guys, you gotta know what talents you're rocking, of course. Now, there are multiple builds for plenty of classes, but as you guys know, I like to play to Extreme Burst. I like to play for high damage, and that's just kind of my play style. So what I got going on here is for the level 15 talent, I take Windsong for that increased haste. Now, you'll see how this whole play style and my thought process kind of worked into the things that I'm using. Especially since we kind of are sitting in a duelish scenario right now. But basically, increasing your attack speed by 20% for 15 seconds is amazing for anything with Windfury, because your basic attacks are going to proc Windfury, which are going to proc more attacks, and of course with haste, you're just going to get more Windfury procs. And since some of our major cooldowns, kind of like Doom Winds, increase your damage dealt by 400% for Windfury procs, so that's going to be during the major cooldowns or minor cooldowns. Of course, popping minor Bloodlust, which is a crazy PvP talent I have to show you in a minute. Hey, what up, boy? How you doing, man? The number 30 talent we're going to use is Rainfall. Now, I like to use this to place around pillars and things like that. Rainfall, it doesn't feel like it heals that much, but when you're kiting LOSing and also using your Wolf Heal later on, it actually turns out to be quite a bit of healing, and that's why you see me staying alive a lot of the times and not getting completely blown up on a Shaman. As for the level 45... I've seen people use Earth Grab, which is good for taking on melee and stuff, but most of the time I go with the Lightning Surge Totem, because obviously it's a stun, which can be used as a CC against healers as well as melee, so obviously that's going to be probably the better choice out of the two when it comes to arena. Maybe not for duels if you're playing warriors and stuff like that, but for the most part I'd have to say the stun's going to save your life more than just rooting well. As for level 60, I went with Ancestral Swiftness, which increases your haste by 8% and your attack speed by 8%. Now, remember what I was saying, guys. All at once. All that damage, all that burst. Insane. Need more haste. Need more haste, more Windfury. Now, Hailstorm. Frostbound also enchants your weapon, causing each of your weapons to also deal 647 frost damage, which could be absolutely amazing for the build, too. Myself, I just like taking the speed and going for that insane burst, but this could also be a very viable talent if you're throwing in a lot of Frostband attacks. Slowing something and keeping up to it. Now, my level 75 talent is going to be Tempest, guys. Stormbringer now affects the next 2 Storm Strikes. Now, you guys have seen the insane globals that I can pump out on Enhancement Shaman with the previous videos. Now, this is one of the secret to the globals, is the fact that you get 2 Storm Strike procs in a row instead of just one. So, I mean, when you blow full cooldowns, that's 2 ranged giant hits you're going to hit somebody with instead of just one. And if you get Windfury procs off of those, it's just going to be like an insane godly burst coming out on somebody. As for the other ones, Stormlash spreads to additional target and it deals 30% additional damage. That could be good for like BGs or something. Arenas, I would still definitely take the Tempest for Seagull target over the splash damage. Let's see, level 90 talents, we're going to go with Crash Storms. Basically, what this ability is going to do is Crash Storms. Here, let me show you. I'll build it up. It's going to put this little AoE lightning on the ground. It's going to hit both targets. Now, what that's going to do later on is going to make your Storm Strikes have an electrical charge buff, basically causing that ability to do more damage. Like, it's all building into that Storm Strike. It's all that Storm Strike power, guys. We're all building into it. Alright, so level 100 talent. I've seen people go with Earth and Spike trying to get a more general rotation, keep up consistent damage. But as far as being impressive with fighting other classes in arena, dueling, definitely want to go with Ascendance because, I mean, most people are going to try to CC you during your burst. And that's going to make your Storm Strike that we're all building in, it's going to be ranged. It's going to be like 20 yards or something like that. 30 yards, there it is right there. And which bypass armor. So all those Windfury crits, all that insane burst you thought just right through somebody's armor. And as I was saying when I was playing one the other day, sometimes they have enough burst if you get lucky enough procs that you can rip right through tanks. And that's the reason why. So let's jump over to our honor talents here. I'm definitely going to take Gladiator's Medallion. I don't like these other 2 abilities. They kind of work for themselves, and you really get boned if you trinket something you don't want to trinket. Like, you get sapped at the start, and it's like, yo, I'm just going to get out of that. And you're like, well, but I got a trinket, rogue's going to open up on me. This sucks. So obviously, this is a bad idea. I also go with hardness. While above 80% health, you take 20% less damage. Now, I like to use this ability because, I mean, a lot of classes have crazy openers on you, and I think hunters and a few other classes have damaging passive abilities for PvP that make you take more damage when you're above that certain amount of health. So you have the hardness, it kind of counters that out, and you'll take less damage. Now, as for the next talent here, we got Counter-Strike Totem. Now, Counter-Strike Totem's really good for damage if you lay the totem up behind something and kind of go out around the edge to where they don't know it's there, and it's shocking them through the pillar and stuff. Now, it used to last for 60 seconds, but they nerfed it down to only lasting for 15 seconds, so you really have to kind of use it strategically. Do not, I repeat, do not rely on this to save your life in arena. You will get globaled through it. Now, it deals a lot of damage. It reflects 100% damage, so you figure, well, if I get global and it reflects damage, well, once you die, the totem disappears. Remember that. So if they come up on you and start smacking the living crap out of you, they throw up AMS, they throw up damage reductions and burst the crap out of you, you're still going to take a lot more damage than they will. So never rely on Counter-Strike Totem to A, kill somebody, or B, save your life, because it's not used for that, guys. It will deal a lot of pressure, though, if you are taking damage in a 1v1 situation, obviously. But the other thing you can use in PGs and Arena is going to be Windfury Totem. Guys, Windfury is amazing. This is why we want shamans. Yes! Alright, so Windfury Totem. I mean, that alone makes this class doable with so many comps like RBGs, 3s teams, 2s teams, things like that, just because of a Windfury Totem. Like, this is amazing for buffing a whole team. It's going to honestly, like, for most, I'd say melee heavy raid teams, you're going to need an Enhancement Shaman, because, like, this is just, like, this is bread and butter right here. You gotta have it. Alright, but as for Arena, of course, in 1v1 and duelings, Counter-Strike Totem may be your better bet, because you're a lot less likely to get focused if you are laying Counter-Strike Totem down correctly, because people are going to be like, yo, that guy's going to kite us out, throw down the totem, go Ghost Wolf for him, and we ain't going to be able to hurt him very much, because he's healing up and reflecting at it. And we got dots on him, and we're getting hit by the dot damages. Ah! Enhancement Shaman's evil sometimes. Alright, so the next we got Ghost Wolf. Heals you for 4% of your health every 2 seconds. Really strong, guys. That means 6 seconds, 12% of your health. 12 seconds. You see where I'm going with this, guys. You see where I'm going with this. I'm not going to do math. We know what happens when Hazzed does math, and, we don't need to do that today. The other thing I like to use is Ethereal Form, which makes you physically immune to all damage. Now, this used to make you take 200% magic extra damage, but they took that out. Now it creates you 50% reduction to speed and makes you completely immune to melee damage. So if you're on Enhancement Shaman and you're having a major trouble getting global, it's obvious that you guys need to, of course, use this ability. I mean, it's going to make you immune. You guys saw in one of my videos that I used it against an arms warrior that basically, after a little while, they build up to a one-shot. Same with Prot. And I had Ethereal Form up. I threw down my Counter-Strike Totem right before it, and I stood there and waited for it. And as soon as they hit that, the Counter-Strike Totem shot the Boomkin, and the Boomy died almost instantly. I didn't attack that match, but I over-doubled my partner's damage just because of that. What's this what you're doing here? He's like, yo, I'm getting in on this. Smile! Smile! Alright. The other thing I like to use, let's see, we'll go to the next one. Next thing, I like using those too. I don't really like Purifying Waters. Forked Lightning. When you use Storm Strike, building it all up, guys. What am I saying? When you use Storm Strike, you conjure bolts of lightning up to 2 furthest enemies within 40 yards, dealing 77,000 nature damage. Now you can imagine, guys, with all these extra abilities, the extra damage, the extra haste, the extra damage to Windfury procs, the extra damage you get from Crash Lightning, it all builds together for this immense Storm Strike burst. Now, it only, like, you'll see the bigger numbers, like 250, 300k pop up, but you don't see, like, all the 50ks, all the 60ks, all the 40ks that are building up with this burst when you throw all this together. Now, it gets even crazier when we get to the rotation, guys. Now, the last thing I like to use is Shamanism, which basically makes your Bloodlust spell have a 45-second cooldown, and now you can use it in Arena. Alright, so you take that 45-second cooldown, you put that with Doom Winds for that increased haste. Of course, we got Windsong for more haste, and we're using Ancestral Swiftness for more haste. You guys see where this is going. You're going to deal some major pressure when you proc all these at once and just blow somebody up. So let's go ahead and jump over to macros. Let's talk about my enhancement macros, guys. Basically what we got here is I've got kind of about 2 different macros that we'll need. Of course, focus macros and stuff will come later on as we get into 3s. But since there's not really many 3s right now, I haven't really set up my characters for my focus macros. But what we got is a small one for Bloodlust and Doom of Winds, which is kind of a couple of your smaller cooldown abilities, so you can use those on alternate rotations along with your major cooldowns. So, I mean, even the bigger cooldown, of course, has some of the smaller abilities in there. But what I like to do is pop, you know, of course, one of these on a smaller rotation, one of these on a major rotation to keep up consistent pressure. And that's how we kind of offset people's cooldowns in arenas now, because a lot of classes have major cooldowns and stuff on different rotation schedules, which will make it a lot harder, of course, for healers and things like that to counter it. So that makes it pretty interesting. So what we got, I'll put those down below the video in the comments if you guys want to copy those over or whatever. But those are just kind of the major cooldown abilities I have. And I mean, that's really it for macros for right now, unless I want to go into focus macros, but I said I'm not going to go into that much detail on it. Let's go ahead and jump over to something else. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about rotation here. Rotation on an Enhancement Shaman. Now, let's see what we got going. Yeah, take that. I'll shoot you with my lightning. How dare you? All right, so what we got to do here, guys, is your main goal on an Enhancement Shaman. You got a few main goals here. Now, when you're going in on target, if, let's say you're going in on somebody and you don't want them to go as offensive as you, you're going to throw up your wolves, and you're going to actually hit them once, and you're going to kite back. Now, your wolves are going to go over to the target and generate your Maelstrom. That's generally the strat for double DPS and stuff, because you don't want another class sitting on you as a shaman, because we are pretty squishy, until you actually can deal the right amount of pressure. And, of course, or if you lay your Counter-Strike Totem in the correct way. But you notice how we just have a ton of Maelstrom. That's kind of your first thing. Now, the Maelstrom is going to be what you use on your Storm Strikes for your, just like your Maelstrom dump and your Crash Lightnings. As you can see, you got to put quite a bit into using those abilities. Now, Rockbiter basically is just made for generating your Maelstrom. Now, if you want to generate Maelstrom faster, as I was saying before, we may be able to use Boulder Fist, which generates 23 Maelstrom, which is quite a bit faster. And it also increases your critical strike chance by 10 and your damage dealt by 5%, which could be an amazing ability. Also could work with this build very well. But that's generally how I generate my pressure pretty fast and get up my burst extremely fast. Now, how do we go in about a normal rotation? I mean, as I said, just getting that up the main idea. Now, if you want just your normal DPS buffing up, you're going to throw up your Windsong, you're going to throw up Flame Tongue, you're going to throw up your Lava Lash, and you'll probably throw up Crash Lightning. Now, outside of that, if you want to set up for, like, Major Burst, I mean, guys, think about this. There really isn't, like, a set rotation with Enhancement Shamans. Your main goal is to use Flame Tongue, to use Windsong, and to use Crash Lightning, and to use Flame. Basically, keep up, see at this right-hand corner, keep up all these proc abilities, all these small little abilities, all this haste, all this extra crit lightning damage, all this stuff you're seeing is stuff you get from Flame Tongue, you get from Windsong, and you get from Lava Lash, because, you know, Lava Lash sends out that little thing. Of course, Flame Tongue gives you extra fire damage on hit, and of course, Crash Lightning is going to give you a bit of AoE, and it hits for quite a bit of damage. So when you mix all those together, what do you get when you blow cooldowns? Now, hold on, we're going to wait for these to proc up correctly. Now, when you go for burst, guys, you really need to proc most of these right before you burst. So if you're just having like a normal rotation and you're going to go for burst and a lot of your things have fallen off, what you're going to do is probably open up with Lava Lash, hit your Flame Tongue, hit your Windsong, hit your Crash Lightning, and this is going to, and when you got your proc, you go for that full burst, go Ascendance, and hit them with that insane damage. Just that absolutely insane burst. We thought like a 425k crit there. There's another proc. This would have just annihilated anybody. Just annihilated. There's another 425k proc. Now, we saw multiple 100ks and 200ks popping up there in the background. Why that was going on. Those are from the alternate abilities proccing. Why we have Berserking going up, taking 400% extra damage from our Windfury, and of course popping Ascendance, so our melee attacks are actually ranged, giving us a lot higher chance that we're going to get those Storm Strikes to global a target. Now, that's kind of the offensive rotation, guys. I'd have to say, in my mind, it's not a very hard rotation, but effectively putting this out, since it is an elongated rotation, is probably one of the hardest parts about doing it. Now, as for healing, guys, I had to ask you guys for a little help on this. I didn't understand it at first. But basically, it's based off your Maelstrom and your mana. So you can sit here and heal your gut off and get just tons of heals here on Enhancement Shaman, just dumping into it. And you can go back in and hit a target. Now, this is where Shamans kind of start slacking. You notice as I'm running low on mana, I can't heal anymore. So that's where kind of Shamans and Ghost Wolf form that heals for 4% every second out in combat. But while your LOS, of course, 4%. And you drop your totem is how I get a lot of my healing when I don't want to Uma mana or I don't have enough mana to heal. And of course, it's also based off of your maelstrom. So if you don't keep up your maelstrom, you can't heal. So now you see why it's so important to generate that maelstrom power to begin with those ghost wolves. Than, you know, just running in combat and getting on somebody as fast as you can. Because, you know, like rogues, they basically have their major burst opener on set. Like they can do it, they can pump it out. As for a shaman, you kind of got to build to it. So you have to strategically play until you can play to your strength. Obviously, that's how you go about you know, classes that feel slightly a bit weaker, slightly less bursty than other classes. You got to take care of that mechanical ability and really just kind of nurture it until you can face punch somebody, you know, out of the blue. And of course, shamans actually have, you know, as I said, like a 45-second cooldown, which for minor burst, which is like, it's a tiny cooldown. And you can deal an immense amount of pressure with that on casters, on healers, just about anything, really, especially if you're getting the right kinds of Windfury procs with the bloodthirsty buff and everything else. Like, it's pretty beefy. Let's see. We're going to go over a couple little strats here. I'll show you guys how to, you know, get away from targets, how to set up on targets a little better on a shaman. But as for rotation, that's really about it. Rotations aren't as important anymore, I'd have to say, in PvP, as well as understanding mechanics using LOS and kiting out, things like that. So let's go ahead and I'm going to give you guys like a slight rundown about how to go about that. These training dummies over here are going to be what I use for our PvP guys. Alright, so I'm going to come out and I'm going to throw out my wolf. Now, I probably won't use my sprint right away. You can if you have to, but I'll get in range just long enough to get Rockbiter off and I'll get back. Now, before I usually initiate, I kind of set myself up. I'll throw down Healing Totem just in case I get caught in the open. I still have my Healing Totem to heal me up. And of course, I'll probably throw down my Counter-Strike Totem either behind here or whatever, because as soon as I come out like this and hit him with wolves and kite backwards, I'm going to get Maelstrom. So I'm going to get back. I'm going to get back inside that totem. I'm going to get back near this Counter-Strike Totem, and when they try to focus me, I'll probably end up dropping my Stun Totem and building up my burst while they're in stun, and then nuking somebody in the meantime. Now, you also got to keep in mind Ancestral Shift when you're not taking it immunity to the melee reduces damage taken by 40%, and that's actually something you need to pre-proc quite a lot if you're going to be focused by any kind of melee DPS. Now, one of the other things is we have quite a lot of mobility with Ghost Wolf form. Now, if two guys get on you, one of our strongest things to do on this character, believe it or not, is actually go Ghost Wolf form, pop your Spirit Walk, and get the hell out. Like, you saw it with two different ferals. Like, I should have died on those two ferals. It was pretty obvious. But the fact that I proc this ability and kite it out, and use Ghost Wolf is what won the match. The fact that I just got out. I got away from... I took away all the damage. I LOS'd. I healed up. Used that Ghost Wolf form when I was and I didn't have any healing anymore. And I really just ran around that pillar and healed back to full. You know, 4%, 4%, 4%, 4%, 4%. And really, you can live a long time with that. Now, Enhancement Shamans are kind of cool. They can also deal a little bit of range pressure with their lightning bolts. I mean, it really doesn't do much, but it's enough that it can taunt somebody. Like, if you're in an arena, you're like, yo, come get on me, guy. Come at me, guy. And you're just zapping the crap out of him. I mean, like, it's kind of amusing. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, that's basically the base strategy of how I'm running a shaman right now. Now, as for threes, shamans are pretty fun because of course, they have that insane amount of burst. And they have quite a bit of things to help out their partners, along with, you know, the Healing Totem's also going to heal other people. They can select other people and heal them also, which is great off heals, honestly. When they have full Maelstrom, they can basically counter somebody's burst if they're hitting somebody else. I've gotten to test that out a few times in Arena. But all in all, guys, I'd have to say that's going to be the rundown of this. We went over macros, we went over talents, we went over PvP talents, we went over rotation, we went over strategy, and all in all, guys, I'd have to say you follow this and you'll be able to one-shot people in arenas as long as you're getting them setups correctly and just destroying people. Until next time, I hope you like this mini guide. Leave a like. This was your boy Hazzed.